Other people eliminate the passions by means of a knowledge concerned with the general characters of things, such as seeing the transitory, painful impure nature. The bodhisattva, by contrast, has eliminated the passions by analysis of the specific characteristics. The Kimnari and the 500 Arsis. Thus, 500 Arsis who, while flying about, heard the song of Achintioloniu. Their minds became enraptured. They lost the basis of all their miraculous powers and fell to earth all at once. Druma's action on the sravakas. Some sravakas heard Tiaoanluan Mo, king of the Kintiolo, playing the lute, singing and praising the Buddha according to the true nature of dharmas. Then Mount Sumeru and all the trees shook. The great disciples of the Buddha, Mahakasyapa, etc., were unable to sit still on their seats. The bodhisattva Teinsu asked Mahakasyapa, "You are very old and the foremost among those who observe the dhutas. Why cannot you control your mind and keep still?" Mahakasyapa answered, "My mind would never be disturbed by pleasures divine or human. But here there are marvelous sounds, the reward for immense merits of this bodhisattva. When he produces these sounds by metamorphosis, there is no means to resist. When the winds of the 8 directions arise, they are unable to shake Mount Meru. But when the Pi land wind comes at the end of the kalpa, it blows away Mount Meru like straw. This is why we know that the bodhisattva succeeds in eliminating his passions by the vision of the specific characteristics of all dharmas. All other people obtain only the dhyanas themselves, but do not obtain the dhyana paramita." 9. Moreover, other people know the mind of entry into concentration of a bodhisattva and the mind of leaving the concentration, but cannot cognize the mind of the bodhisattva in the course of the concentration. They are ignorant of its object, its extent, and depth of the dharmas that it cognizes. If the arhats and pratyekabuddhas are unable to know this mind, what can be said of other men? It is like the elephant that crosses the river. Its footprints are visible when it enters the water and when it comes out, but when it is in the water, nothing can be seen. When someone has obtained the first dhyana, those who already possess the first dhyana know it, but they do not know the mind of the bodhisattva entered into the first dhyana. Those who possess the second dhyana know even more clearly the mind of the person who has obtained the first dhyana. But they do not know the mind of the bodhisattva who has entered into the first dhyana. It is the same up to the naive samjnana samjnayatana. 10. Furthermore, in the course of the concentration of the leap, the ascetic jumps from the first dhyana to the third, from the third dhyana to akasantayatana, from akasantayatana to akimkanyayatana. In the vehicles of the sravakas and the pratyekabuddha, one can leap thus over one level but not over two. But the bodhisattva who has mastery over leaping is able, on leaving the first dhyana, to jump to the third dhyana, which is normal, but he may also leap directly to either the fourth or to one of the 4 samapatis. Akasa, Vijnana, Akimkanya or naive samjnana samjnayatana, or into the samjnavdayatanirudhasamapati. On leaving the samjnavdayatanirudhasamapati, the bodhisattva enters into either the akimkanyayatana, or the vijnana, or the akasayatana, or finally into dhyanas 4 to 1. Sometimes he leaps over one level, sometimes over 2 and sometimes even over 9. On the other hand, the sravaka cannot leap over more than one level. Why? Because his wisdom, his qualities, the power of his concentration are slight. The sravaka and the bodhisattva are like 2 kinds of lions, the yellow lion and the white-maned lion. Although the yellow lion can jump, he cannot jump as well as the royal white-maned lion. It is for all these reasons that we distinguish a dhyana paramita. 11. Furthermore, at the time that the bodhisattva, always steady in dhyana, concentrates his mind, is not moved, he produces neither examination nor judgment, yet he still addresses himself to all the beings in the 10 directions, preaches the dharma to them in immense sounds and converts them. This is called dhyana paramita. Question. However, A sutra says, having first examined and judged, then one is able to preach the Dharma. But having entered into dhyana, one is without vitarka, investigation, and vikara, analysis, which necessarily precedes speech. Therefore one can no longer preach the Dharma. Why do you say that the bodhisattva, constantly resting in dhyana, no longer producing examination or judgment, preached the Dharma to beings? Answer. The person in samsara, having entered into dhyana, must at first resort to vitarka, investigation, and vikara, analysis of speech, in order to be able later to preach the Dharma. But the Dharmakaya bodhisattva, who has stripped off the body of transmigration, cognizes all dharmas, is always in accord with the images of concentration, and perceives no contradiction. This Dharmakaya bodhisattva, transforming his immense body, preaches the Dharma to beings, although his mind remains without concept. Thus, the lute of the asuras constantly produces sounds and plays at will without anyone plucking it. This lute has neither a distracted mind nor a concentrated mind, for it constitutes a reward for the asura's merits. It produces its sounds according to people's wish. It is the same for the Dharmakaya bodhisattva. He is without concept, free from distractions, without vitarka, investigation, and vikara, analysis, the factors of preaching. But as a result of his immense merits, his concentration, and his wisdom, he produces the many sounds of the Dharma in conformity with the needs of people. The miserly man hears a sermon on generosity. The lustful, the angry, the lazy, the distracted, and the foolish hear, respectively, a sermon on morality, patience, exertion, dhyana, and wisdom. Having heard this sermon, each goes back home and gradually finds deliverance by means of the three vehicles. 12. Furthermore, the bodhisattva knows that all dharmas, distraction as well as concentration, are free of duality. Other men chase away distraction in order to seek concentration. How? They become impatient with distraction and develop attachment to concentration. Udrika, or immoderate attachment to concentration. Thus, the Rsiutolokie who possessed the 5 super knowledges, each day flew to the palace of the king where he took his meal. The king and queen, according to the custom of the land, greeted him by placing their head at his feet. The queen having touched him with her hand, the Rsi lost his abhijnas. Unable to fly, he asked the king for a chariot and drove away. Returning home, he went into a forest and tried to retrieve his 5 abhijnas. The concentration returned, but as he was about to regain the abhijnas, a bird perched on a tree suddenly began to sing and distracted him. Udrika then left the forest and went to the shore of a lake in search of concentration. There too he heard some fish that were fighting and disturbing the water. Not finding the concentration that he wanted, the Rsi became angry and said, "I would like to kill every last fish and every last bird." Long afterwards, by the power of meditation, he regained samapati, and after his death he was reborn in the sphere of neither discrimination nor non-discrimination. When his life was over, he was reborn as a flying fox, and he killed all the fish and birds that he encountered. Having committed innumerable crimes, he fell into the 3 unfortunate destinies. This sad fate was caused by his attachment to the dhyanas and samapatis. It will be the same for heretics immoderately attached to the dhyanas. Punishment of a bhiksu who confused dhyana and fruits of the path. Among the disciples of the Buddha, there was a bhiksu who, possessing the 4 dhyanas, conceived great pride therefrom. He claimed from that very fact to have obtained the 4 fruits of the path. He said, "By the first dhyana, srotapana is obtained. By the second, sakritagaman. By the third, anagaman. And by the 4th, arhat." Based thereon, he stopped and made no further progress on the path. About to die, he saw the 5 aggregates present in the 4 dhyanas. He produced a wrong view and claimed that nirvana does not exist and that the Buddha was mistaken. By this error, he lost the aggregates of the 4 dhyanas. Then he saw the aggregates related to Avasai hell and, his life being over, he was reborn in Avasai hell. The bhiksus questioned the Buddha. Where did this forest-dwelling bhiksu take rebirth when his life was over? The Buddha told them. This man has taken rebirth in Avasai hell. Frightened and astounded, the bhiksus continued. This man was practicing the dhyanas and observed the discipline. What is the cause of it? The Buddha answered. This bhiksu was very proud. As he possessed the 4 dhyanas, he claimed to have obtained the 4 fruits of the path. When he came to the end of his life and saw the skandhas of the 4 dhyanas, he fell into wrong view and claimed that nirvana does not exist. How is it, he said, that I am an arhat and here I am returning to new existence? The Buddha is an impostor. It was then that he saw the skandhas relating to Avasai hell and, his life.